Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Stephen Spatz. I'm president of BookBaby, and this is our BookBaby live broadcast that show up on our YouTube page and our Facebook page as well. So this is episode number 6. We're keeping track of them. So far, so good. And we've got a great topic today and a whole bunch of really good topics lined up throughout the rest of the year. So I hope you're a devoted listener to this. Today, we're talking about editing, but I'm titling it something else. Editing to me is really book insurance, and I'll tell you why that is. And really, professional editing can save your stories and in some cases even save your career. And I've got a couple of fun stories to share with you. So on that note, let's get into this, but let me do a little house cleaning first. If you want to be part of our Facebook group, we have about I think 700 active members now, and folks can take part in that. And get in the know for things, what's happening with BookBaby. So with that said, let's jump into the slideshow if we could, Carter. Fantastic. Okay, here we go. I usually have to hit it a couple of times before it lets me do it. There we go. All right. So welcome to our live chat again. I try to share a few tidbits about me or BookBaby on this slide. And really, our headquarters are right across the river from Philadelphia. We're in New Jersey, but if I could still throw a stone far away, we'd hit the Delaware River. We're right there close. I was once vetted to run for Congress from the state of Oregon, and I'll share with you a little bit more about that at the end of it, why that's relevant. But really, the most important thing that I say to people now, and especially about the position I'm in, is I'm a self-published author. I've been there. I know about it. I know the journey. I know the pains. I know the pleasure. I know how it feels to really go through the process. So I feel very qualified to share some of the information I've gained through the 11 years I've been involved with BookBaby, and the last 6 I've been president. So with that, let's keep going. So here's what we usually do. It's about 30 minutes long, give or take 2 or 3 minutes, depending upon how many questions you have. I'll spend about 15 minutes on my topics, and then we'll open the floor for your questions. Now, today, by the way, I know our topic is about editing, but feel free to share with me any of your questions, just about anything in self-publishing. I'll do my best to answer. You can put your questions in the comment box. Tell me where you're from, too. That's sort of fun to know, where people are listening from. We get all kinds of folks. I talked to somebody in Australia the last time I was here. And so it's neat to see where people are from. So feel free to share that. By the way, all these images here on this page, these are done by our team of BookBaby designers. We've got a lot of folks. They live all around the country now, around the world practically now. And they do book covers for us. It's really fun to see that part of the creative process. Okay. So one more thing. One lucky attendee will be selected at random to receive a 15-minute publishing consultation with me. Now, here's how you do that. You share this video and you tag a friend in the comments section to be automatically entered to win the consultation with me. So please reach out and do that if you can, and I'll love to share some time with you. I owe our last month's contestant. I didn't match up with her this month, but I'll be getting with her very soon, Tia. So Tia, if you're listening, I sent you an email this morning again, so hopefully we can link up. Okay, here's what I want to focus on today. The very best investment you can make for your book, and it is editing. And it is, maybe not the most incredibly compelling subject I could be talking about, but I'm telling you, it is probably the most important thing you can do for your book, and I'm here to make a case for you as to why you really need to consider it, okay? So look, I call it book insurance because, frankly, it saved me and it saved other folks from a bunch of embarrassing. So we're going to answer 3 things today. Do you need professional editing? I've got some case histories. What kind of editing do you need? This is where I'm going to spend most of my time to kind of break it down. There's a lot of mystery, kind of different names of things, and I've kind of grouped it into 4 basic groups for you to pick and choose and see what flavor you need. And then finally, I'll spend a little bit of time about where to find a great editor. Frankly, I could just spend the entire 15 minutes just on that, but we're going to touch on some of the basics, okay? So let's start here. I've got a couple of stories. And Dr. Tony Lewis, we've used his story a lot in our blog and in my emails. And he's a very good sport, and he and I talked on the phone a while ago, so he kind of shared his story for us. But learned from his words. He's a president of a Christian Book Institute in Texas. And he was very proud to write his book, The Message of the Messenger, in 2015. And he got it to handed us the manuscript. And of course, what we should be doing is saying, well, have you had it edited? And unfortunately, he said, nah, I don't think so. Don't think I need to have it edited. Okay, great. Well, we put the ebook out. We put the printed book out, shipped him a bunch of books. He was so proud. He immediately had some sent to his mother and his sister. And that's when his phone started lighting up. And people were saying, Tony, you misspelled my name. Tony, I didn't live here. Tony, you have all these big editing errors. And within just a few hours of having it sent out to his family, he realized what a mistake he made. And what he told me is, look, if any person would have purchased one of these books, they would have stopped reading the first chapter because of all these errors. And they were simple errors. They were grammar. They were spelling. Yes, he misspelled his sister's name. Probably most of the world wouldn't know. His sister would. But look, people are going to remember you. They'll mark you as they're the guy who really doesn't spend a lot of time investing the sort of effort in his book he should. And frankly, that's a point of gossip. Hey, did you read this book by so-and-so? He can't even spell this right. So it's really important to, heed his words, which are, if you don't pay for editing, it's going to cost you in the long run. And those words have stuck with me for a long time. So you're going to either invest in it now, or you're going to pay for mistakes that are going to hound you forever as long as those books are out in existence until you make corrections. What he did is he reeled the books back. He went back to an editor, had them all edited, and we sent books out for him. We gave him a great deal on it because he helped us out with this marketing to try to encourage people to do editing. So that went well. So that's a real life story. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you, it's a what if. All right, this didn't actually happen, but it might. You never know. So this is beautiful Lake Webster in Massachusetts. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, let's say you are setting a cozy mystery story up in New England. This is a lake in Massachusetts. It's ringed by lovely houses and a lake and a dock, and you can have all kinds of interesting things about the book. But you're probably going to try to put the original name of the lake in the book. Here it is. Lake Chargagag Manchachag Ugachug, and you lost me about 7 G's. Now, this is an extreme example of why you probably would want to have proofreading, somebody to make sure that every single G is showing up your book. Like I say, it's a little bit far-fetched. By the way, the literary translation of it is English knifemen and Nipmuc Indians at the boundary of neutral fishing place. So again, just you're going to have big words in your book. You're going to have words that are going to actually escape your eyes. So just kind of a funny, off-the-wall sort of example. But you know what? You really do need to have another set of eyes looking at these things. But if I was running a book like that, I would choose another lake. By the way, that came from Atlas Obscura, one of my favorite websites, and I'm sure probably some Atlas Obscura fans on this broadcast. Okay, so look, there's so many ways I can put this. I can talk about how editing is like housework. It goes unnoticed unless it's not done. God knows I know about that. But here's the favorite one where I really try to sell people on. All right, I'm going to give you one more argument. Here is a comprehensive list of all the New York Times and Amazon best-selling authors that chose not to invest in professional editing in their book. Here we go. Here's the whole list. No, power did not go out in my house this time. All right. That's it. Nobody. They all recognized the value of their words and how important it was for them to place their sacred words in the hands of a skilled editor, and they can make a good book great, and they can make a great book awesome. All right. You've got to do editing. It is your book insurance. It saves you possible embarrassment, and also it can really just improve the structure of your book depending upon the kind of editing. So I hope I've answered this question. I hope that that when we say, do you need editing? Yes. So now let's talk about what kind it is you need, because this is a question we get all day long. And then we have some good topics on our blog about this as well. But let's try to go through them now and see if I can clear some things up. First of all, there are 4 main types, all right? But you don't probably need all of them, all right? For most of our authors, one of them suffice. Now, we do have a lot of authors who do either a line or a copy edit, and then for a last-minute thing, they do a final proofread, and that's great too. And again, different editors have different labels for the type of service. So if you kind of dig into what each one of them offer, you can see, okay, oh, this is more of a line editing, this is more of a copy editing. So I'm going to provide you some guidelines to say when you decide what kind of editing you need, ask them if they do this, this, this. All right, so let's go through that list. All right, first off is developmental editing. Now, in some ways, this can be editing when the book is not even complete. In fact, I know a lot of authors who they write maybe half the book, and then they have the rest of the book just in outline form. And they go to a developmental editor to say, look, here's my plot. Okay, here's how I'm setting it up. Here's it fully kind of planned out. And here's where I'm going with the plot. What do you think? You know, I really call this big picture editing, all right? They're not looking at there, and there. They're not looking at its and its, you know, those kind of proofreading things. They're looking at the entire book as a whole. Is this going to hold together? Is this plausible? You know, is your plot just way out there and just not feasible? Is this going to be interesting to audience? I mean, they're a great sounding board. This is highly collaborative. You know, this is somebody that you're going to talk to over and over, and you're going to really shape your book. Does everybody need this? No, of course not. All right. These are for folks who maybe are experimenting in a different genre, trying something different. A lot of brand new authors do this, but it certainly is not necessary. But if you don't have really the whole book decided and you have many questions about, should I go this way? Should I go that way? What do you think about this character? Developmental editing could be an interesting thing for you, and you can check that out. And there are a lot of very good ones out there. All right. So that's the first type. Second type is this, and I do kind of characterize these down by the first thing. When I think of line editing, it's line by line. All right, you're looking at sentences and paragraphs. You're not looking at the overall plot. Okay, that should be set by the book, but you're looking at how the syntax is going, how the structure is going. You know, do they focus on word choice? Yes, they do, but more just in the entire kind of holistic thing of a paragraph or a line. All right. They look at plot and pacing. You know, they look at tone and style. And an editor is typically going to give you a write-up at this level of editing, which is not cheap, frankly. You know, they're gonna sit back and give you 4 or 5 pages of what their impressions are. They've absorbed the book. I mean, they've gotten into it. You know, a lot of them will be fans, and frankly, you know, it's great to have an editor, you know, who chooses that genre, you know, or you know, is experienced at that genre. And they'll really give some great tips. You know, hey, this author does that. This author does that. You know, character development is a big part of this. So this is important line editing, and it's very thorough. I had my book done that way. It really helped me. Next, we go down one level. So if line editing was line by line, copy editing is word by word, and I call it a mechanical edit. Okay. Now they're not looking at even the pace or the tone. They're looking at grammar, especially. They're looking at word choices. Can this be better? Can this be stronger? Syntax. Spelling and punctuation is a huge deal here, okay? Especially grammar. This is where the Chicago Manual style, if you know about styles in different editing, this is the one that we usually adhere to and most of our authors do, all right? They really follow that line of editing. And it does have some basic proofreading, but really the thing they're checking for here is really grammar, spelling, punctuation, making sure that word by word you're strong, you know, and nothing out there is glaring. All right, I recommend that for folks who, you know, maybe they've already done a line edit, and that's fine. But this is one where you feel like, you know what, my writing is pretty strong. I just want a mechanic to kind of look at this. All right, and then finally, talking about proofreading. All right, that's character by character is how I kind of characterize it, if you will. You know, they're looking at, you know, just intensive spelling and punctuation check. They'll look a little bit about the grammar if something seems glaring, but that's really not what they're going to be looking for. Again, Chicago Manual style is their byword, you know, and they will look at usage. And you'll see by the way, in the photographs on the right, that's typically the amount of correction you see on these things. And I'm going to give you a link to a guide that you can kind of look at that yourself and see the kind of work they do. So those are the 4 basic kinds, all right? And again, look at just not advanced forward yet, but you know, look at the terms I put in there. When you ask your editor, okay, do you do this and this and this? Then you'll kind of determine what's line, what's copy, what's proofreading. Okay, and I hope that's helpful. Finally, this. Now I can spend 20 minutes talking just about this. Finding your editor is really important, and it could be a challenge. But let me tell you who is not your editor. Okay, it's not your sister-in-law with the English degree. It's not your former English teacher who's now living in the shore and trying to make a little bit to supplement her Social Security. No, you need a pro. You need somebody who does this for their living. And especially they've got to be experienced in your genre. You don't want to put your political thriller in the hands of someone who just does romance novels. That just doesn't make any sense, all right? So when you do this, it's important to review their credentials, follow up on the recommendations. Other authors will be happy to tell you about their relationship with the authors, all right? I would urge you to stay away from Fiverr or these similar kind of job posting things. Swipe right and you have an editor. It's not Tinder. This is really important for your book, and it's worth the time for you to really think about it. Now, this is not a commercial, but I am going to tout BookBaby. We have a big team of authors who we work with, every genre, every flavor, a huge amount of experience. It does take the problem about finding editors, because our editors have experiences all over. But as I say, it's not a commercial. But if you want to take things easy, I would consider our editing service as well. All right. So just to recap, we know you need editing. Period. You saw the list. Nobody who's successful skimps on this. Choose your flavor of editing, but what your book needs, and be realistic about this. If grammar is something that you need to work on, make sure you've got someone who's really toned into that, and you'll be able to gain from the author's notes, especially on a line editing. That's why I see that's a quality type of product, that not only do you see the work that they've done in your book, they give you the reason for it and their feelings and their opinions. It's been very valuable for all of our authors. And finally, you've got to find that right author or the right editor. It's really important for your story. Save your story and possibly save your writing career. Now, here's the guide where he explains a little bit more. If you want to, kind of review some of the things we talked about, here's where you go. You go to bookbaby.com. You click on at the very top, it says Learn, and then you click on Free Guides, and then you put the Download You're Not an Editor guide. And there's a PDF waiting for you. It covers a lot of the same things we talked about, but in more detail. So hopefully that will be helpful for you. All right. I'd like to share a nice note. This one's long, but I'm going to focus it in the middle, because guess what? It's about our editing service. So Tyrone tells us, hey, I'm not sure who did the editing on my book, but they did an amazing job. I went with a line-by-line editing service. And of course, there are a lot of things I missed, but the editor caught them. On top of that, they left great review feedback of the book, like I was saying, these notes, and in the author's notes. She provided all the suggested changes, which I accepted all of them as well. And the editor also suggested I extend my book a little, and I did that. So it was very valuable help, not just in the nuts and bolts, but kind of providing some spark of inspiration. And I really liked how our editing service does that. Okay. And one more thing, we have a monthly podcast. Sam and Chad interview interesting folks, and this month it was me. They talked to me. I told them about my short-lived political career in the state of Oregon, being vetted as potentially a congressional candidate. I chose not to do it. I didn't want to just drive around Oregon taking people's money out of the wallet to try to put me to Washington, D.C. A wise choice, I think. We also talk about prepping their books for Christmas sales and getting them starting to think that way. Yes, I know it's hot and there's a heat wave over most of the country, but the work you do now to set the ground rules for your holiday sales, it's going to be important. It really will pay off. He and Chad also talked to Angela Bowl, and she is from the Independent Book Publishers Association. You should check out that organization. They're a great resource on all kinds of matters. We're members. We're participating in their yearly conferences as well. So you might want to check that out. All right, and here's the slide it prompts me to say it's time to answer some questions. So without my cheaters, I'm going to look and see if I can see some of these questions. Okay, here we go. So we've got about 10 minutes for this. All right. Evelyn asks, what is your take on writing under a pen name? Well, as a matter of fact, I'm writing a book under a pen name just because it just fit better with what I wanted to do. I write books that are nonfiction. This is a fiction book. I'm writing out of my genre. I think it's perfectly fine. Legally, it's fine too. You can have the account at BookBaby. Say if you work with us, everything goes in with your real name, because we have to give you information on your real name. But you can have 20 different pen names. That's fine. It doesn't hurt your book, or it doesn't harm you in any way. So yeah, feel free, go for it. If Fred Jones is your name and you don't want to use that, be Fred Smith. That's fine. All right. Deb asks, do I need to find an editor who specializes in children's books? I'm writing a middle grade novel. Absolutely. And again, you don't want a political science thriller edited by a romance author, like I was saying before. Children's book authors are very important. And they probably, it might be about cadence and about rhythm and about even phonics and sound. And I think they'll be, very helpful in that. It won't be a very expensive edit. Most children's books are very, very short. I think it would be extremely helpful, especially if it's your first time. Now, if it's your third or fourth book, you probably have gained, the experience of that. But especially for a first-time book, heartily recommended. Okay. In case of a memoir, should I change the name of the characters and locations? Well, it depends on how much your family likes you. I mean, if you're going to put your family's names in there, you either want to get their permission or it's probably wise to choose another name. If I would do a family memoir, I would definitely choose different names for my family. So I would highly recommend you choose it. And just make a note of that on the introduction page. Names are changed to protect the innocent or not so innocent. I don't know. All right. Alice asks, is Google Docs the best format to write one's books? Well, there are all kinds of great programs. Scrivener is a professional writing tool that I will tell you, it's a little hard to master, but once you've done it for a few weeks and you're writing consistently, it is an invaluable tool. It's what I've used in the past. I've been using Evernote recently just because the portability of it, I can be writing a little bit on my phone, I can do it on my iPad, I can do it on a laptop. It's great to be, have that same program over different type of devices I have. Look, whatever feels comfortable for you, make sure it's saved well. Is Google Docs saved into the cloud for you automatically? That will be important. Last thing you want to do is have everything, not be saved. And Scrivener has an auto-save function after about every 30 seconds. So it saved me a couple of times, no question. Okay, here we go. Jane, well, I was thrilled with my first BookBaby book. BookBaby was excellent to work with. Is there a way to find out which friends purchased from the BookBaby bookstore? I would love to be able to thank them personally. You know what? We do offer that. However, your friends have to actually give us the option to share your address. So when someone buys your book on our bookshop has our free e-commerce page. Any author who has a book in distribution, we give them this page free. They can go to the site, and by the way, you make a lot more in commissions. That's a whole another live broadcast. There's a little box that says, do you wish to share the name of the purchaser with the author, so they can send you a thank you note. If they check it, yes, you'll absolutely have the information. If they don't check it, no, you won't. And we don't have the permission to share the identity, but we do make it available. So if you tell your friends about it, say make sure that you check the box saying yes, it's me, I bought it, and it is fun to see people who are able to kind of close that loop and send thank you notes and build mailing lists of your people who have bought your book. So it's a great opportunity, not just to just send thank you notes, but also marketing too. All right, here we go. Let's keep going. And let's see here. Okay. Joyce asks, writing short stories about baseball players. By genre, do you mean sports, or can I get an editor that knows baseball? That's an interesting one. I believe you could request it. I mean, working with BookBaby, we could put the request in saying someone needs to be a sports-minded editor. Yes, I believe that is possible. And yeah, if it's a sports book, I think that's really important to have that kind of thing. Okay. Georgios asks, and I'm sure I'm just butchered that name. See, how long does it take for a book edit takes in average? So I can only speak to BookBaby services. So it's line edit, copy edit, proofreading in terms of the amount of time it takes. So line editing, it's going to be probably 10 to 15 working days. All right. Again, if your book is 700 pages, it's going to be longer than if it's 150 pages. So bear that in mind. But that's typically how it goes. And we are running on time now, although we're editing a lot of books at the moment. It typically does have it. It's very easy to do it. You just upload it through our website, and we keep you informed all the way through. we send you an email. Guess what? Your edited book is done, and you go back into our project center and get it. So I would say line editing is about 10 to 15 days. Copy editing is about maybe 8 to 12 days. Again, a little bit less work on it. Once again, 150 pages will be done faster than 700. And then proofreading is fairly quick. Proofreading is about 4 to 6 working days typically to have that done. Okay. And then again, obviously with other editors outside the BookBaby ecosphere, you'll have to ask them that question. But that's how we typically run it. Some editors want to take a long time on that. Developmental editing, yeah, that's going to be a longer process. So you have to work with the individual author on that. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? Can you give me an idea how much line editing costs? Is there a price sheet available? Yes, on our website, we do have our costs. Now, we price things out by a page, and you'll see kind of the setup, how it goes. Our editors want to work on a per page basis, so we do charge $10 per page on a line edit, $7 per page on a copy edit, and $3 per page on proofreading. And it is, I'll tell you, it's not the cheapest that's out there, but it's certainly not the most expensive out there. But it's really good editing. It's done on a timely basis, and it's done by editors who have worked on New York Times bestsellers. A lot of them have lots of experience in this, and they're part of our group that we have carefully cultivated and have done tremendous work for us. So you just saw the testimony. All right, so a couple more. Chicago Manual Style 15th edition. Okay. Yes, Robert, I'm sure that's absolutely going to be fine. Do they change a whole lot between editions? I don't know the thing is. All right, what else do we have? Talked about the characters. Oh, you know what? Actually, I got a letter offline from someone that I did want to mention on this broadcast, and I actually bring it up in an email next week. And the person said, by the way, you can send me any questions. In fact, let me go forward here. If it will go forward. Hello. There we go. You can send me questions for if you have any more questions. One that I got last week was, what's a person that was just getting their book into pre-sale, and there's a whole we could talk about pre-sale for on and on too. But basically, it's going to come out in the middle of November. That's when their book launches. So he's asking me here at the end of July, when should they start working on holiday sales to sort of lay the groundwork? And I told him, right now. Now is the time to do this. And there are a lot of things they can start by doing in terms of contacting, in terms of planning and budgeting. And matter of fact, I'm starting a series of blog posts about, doing things early. And every time I talk with people who say, God, I took your advice and I contacted people in August and September and not November when they're busy trying to sell things. That's when I got placement at my library. That's when I got placement at my local bookstores. So, the earlier you can get to these folks and get yourself in front of them, get your book in front of them, plan things out, you have a signing here, a signing there, do it now. Don't wait until the fourth quarter. Don't wait until the leaves turn brown or there's snow on the ground. This is a time to really work on the holiday sales. And we've been encouraging people to get their books done early, and then after the books are in production, start their marketing early. And that's what they're going to be able to maximize their holiday times. All right. I think that, let's see. I think that is going to be it for today. I'm looking at the questions. Oh, Robert just submitted a novel an hour ago. Good on you. Well done. And yeah, I think that's about it for today. All right. So I want to thank you very much. Next, we will have another of these broadcasts next month. It's going to be like the last Thursday of the month. I think that sounds like a pretty good time of the month to have this done. And 3:00 is a pretty good, very good time, I think, to get this done. Now, we do have a prize winner, by the way. I've just been notified in my alerts, and it is Marianne Helms Nathaniel. And I will be contacting you, and we will set up our 15-minute, by the way, it's never 15 minutes. It's always about an hour consultation about your self-publishing project. So I look forward to that. So till now, and I think, by the way, next month, I think we're going to do it about book design, cover design, and formatting, and why that's important to the saleability of your book. Very important issue. So with that, I'll bid you farewell and enjoy the rest of July.